Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. In this heartfelt and inspiring episode, I got to talk with my friend Brenda Marra, someone I've never met in person, but have connected with through social media and shared experiences. Brenda is the incredible mother of Renna, a beautiful little girl diagnosed with a rare genetic condition called Pitt-Hopkins syndrome. What began as concerns over developmental delays soon turned into a life-altering diagnosis, one that brought challenges, but also sparked a journey of resilience, advocacy, and purpose. Brenda and her husband were told their daughter would never walk or speak with words, but Brenda refused to let those words define Renna's future. Instead, she embraced a new path, one shaped by hope, creativity, and connection. In our conversation, Brenda shares how her servant-hearted background helped her transition from working at a travel agency for adoptions to becoming a full-time caregiver and advocate. She also opens up about her journey to care for herself while caring for Renna and how that inspired her to share products and resources that have now helped countless other families. She has definitely been called to connect and help others. Brenda's story is one of love, powerful perspective, and a relentless drive to shine light wherever it's needed. You'll walk away from this episode feeling uplifted and inspired by the beautiful bond between Brenda and Renna and the many ways they continue to touch lives together. And please find and follow Brenda at Renna's Corner on Instagram. And we're back with the Show Me the Way podcast. Today, I'm so grateful to welcome my friend Brenda Marra to the show. I've been wanting to have her on for a while now, and I'm so glad that the timing finally worked out. Brenda is a very active and intentional woman, entrepreneur, and special needs mama that I had the pleasure of meeting through another direct sales connection. Brenda's heavily focused on training and working out and her health because she recognizes how important it is to have enough energy and strength to take care of herself and her child. Brenda's determination is very inspirational, and I know that she can give us some great perspective, and we'll talk about motherhood and learn some of those things from her as well. Truly looking forward to this conversation, and I just want to welcome you to the show, Brenda.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. This is so exciting. I've been following your journey and I've been listening to some of your podcasts, so it's definitely an honor to be a guest.
Yay, good. Thank you. So, before we jump into what is on Brenda's heart, I will just let her say a little bit more about herself because I will say we've never met in person. It's been mainly through the social media follow, but I'm sure there's things about Brenda that I'm going to learn as well. So, if you want to share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, that kind of thing.
Okay, so I live in Pennsylvania and I'm married. I have a stepson who will be 20 this summer. Oh my goodness. And I have a 5-year-old daughter named Renna. She is a huge part of my life. She has a rare genetic disorder called Pitt-Hopkins syndrome. So a lot of what I do in life is focused on her. So like you were saying, I definitely need to be taking care of myself as well because I need to be there to help her in most things. So
Yes. And I know that you were involved in direct sales. Do you want to say a little bit about what you're doing? Are you still representing companies in that regard?
yes, so back in 2017, I started doing beach body workouts. I had been a huge mountain biker, but I just, no matter how much I would work out, I constantly was struggling with my weight. And so I was really looking for a nutrition program. And someone introduced me to Beachbody, and I started looking at all that was available. And I decided I was going to do nutrition and a fitness program. So I started doing those workouts back then, and I had a lot of success. And at the time, so now Beachbody is called Body, and at the time you were able to be a coach where you could help other people be on a similar journey to being healthier. So I signed up as a coach, and I wasn't really in a place to necessarily help other people, but if anybody wanted to do the workouts or the programs with me, I was like, all right. So really, I kind of signed up to get a discount because at the time they would give you a discount for being a coach. And I had a few people that joined up with me and would follow some programs, but I was working full time. And at the time, I was like, I don't really want to focus on growing a business. I have a job that I love. I'm super busy. I'm still biking. I didn't have any kids at the time. Fast forward, after I had Renna, she was born on leap day of 2020. And then a week later, the world shut down.
Wow.
So I had this newborn baby and stuck at home, or we were going to doctor's appointments. But my job at the time was a travel agent for a small Christian travel agency, and I would help families who are adopting with their flights and missionaries with their flights. And so I worked from home, and I loved this job. But once I had Renna, I took a break, went on maternity leave. I was thinking it was only going to be like 3 months, but because I worked in the travel industry, that was shut down for a little bit. So I ended up staying out of work for 6 months. And then I went back to work, but things had gotten very complicated. And it used to take maybe, let's just say, an hour or two to find flights, set everything up, get it all worked out. And then people would go on their trips. They'd fly, to China or Ukraine or wherever and complete their adoption, come back home. And that was kind of it. But once everything started changing and you had to get COVID tests and all these different things, that process became so much longer and complicated because not only was I booking those flights, but then I'd have to change them or I'd have to research the answers to different questions. So I did go back after 6 months, and I was there for an additional year. And Renna at that time was 18 months, and we knew there were delays, but we thought that it was because of the pandemic and some isolation. I think really the only things we had done besides go out and go grocery shopping and things like that is we had gone back to church probably after 6 months. So she was in the child program there with the infants at that point, I think still. But she wasn't sitting up, she wasn't rolling over, and because I never had any kids and I wasn't really around babies or anything, I just thought it was like she was just delayed. So about that time, 18 months, we had that 18-month checkup. The doctor said, I think that it's time to look at early intervention, which I don't know if that's the same in all states, but it's basically a program where therapists come into your home and teach you how to help your child with speech, PT, OT, she had a special instructor, things like that. So it was also at that time where work got really overwhelming and really time consuming. So I'm trying to work from home. I'm trying to care for Renna, and I just couldn't do both. So we also used to help hosting programs. So there would be orphans in a different country, and they would get hosted by families in the US. So there'd be like 60 kids flying from different country to maybe like 4 major airports, and then these families would potentially be driving or flying to these airports that were semi-local for them to pick up these kids for like a month and just give them a normal childhood. So I had this huge group booked, and there was a major issue, and all these tickets had to be changed, and it just was a huge ordeal, and it was all consuming for like a month. And I talked to my husband, And I said, I don't think I can continue to do this job and care for Renna. And then I started feeling guilty, like it's my fault she's delayed because I put her in a bouncer while I had to work on these tickets. Now I know it wasn't my fault, but so we had this conversation. I prayed about what to do, and ultimately I decided, well, I guess we decided that I love my job and I was great at my job and I felt called to do that, but it was time to leave something I loved for someone I loved. And so I did. I left that job and I decided, okay, well, I still want something for myself because I I like working,
Mm.
as long as it's something that I enjoy doing and I'm good at. Because I've had those jobs too where I
Yes.
don't.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But I said, you know what? I think I'm signed up as a Beachbody coach. I think I'm going to focus a little bit more on that. So I started sharing my journey a little bit more on social media and kind of focusing on busy moms because we tend to put our kids first and ignore our health. I don't want to say it's easy to do that, but that's what we tend to do. So I did create this little community, and that was when Brenda was 18 months. She's 5 years old now. So I still have this ongoing little community. And I guess there's multiple times in my life that I kind of pivoted, right?
Yes, I was
Because
just gonna say that. Yeah.
yeah, I thought, oh, I'm going to have a child and it's going to be that storybook life. She's going to go mountain biking with us because we
Yeah.
love biking. And same thing with the beach body slash body. I'm going to create this community and it's going to be for busy moms. I'm going to try to do a group of moms that have kids with disabilities. And it just wasn't growing the way I wanted it to, because this is what I was finding. A lot of moms know they have to take care of themselves, but they're so overwhelmed that they have a hard time. So it just became a little frustrating because I can be over the top determined and and not everyone's like me.
That's
So
true.
so I just started just saying, you know what, I'm going to continue to share my journey, and if people want to hop on, great. And I'm not going to chase people. I'm not going to force people. And Body now is more of an affiliate program. And I think a lot of companies are moving towards that. And so I had bought something called a tush baby, which is like a hip carrier for babies. And I got that when she was like 6 months old, never knowing she wasn't going to be walking anytime soon. She just started walking last summer. I think it's been about a year of her walking kind of independently.
Wow, it's already been a year. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I think I had a memory pop up and I was like, oh, wow, it's been like a year because she was starting to walk by herself at this time. And that might have been just 100 feet and she's done, like done. So I had this tush baby and I have no idea how I stumbled upon it, but they had an affiliate program. And people would always ask me about this tush baby. So I'm like, I'm going to sign up for the affiliate program. So then I just started learning how to like post reels and things like that, just sharing this tush baby. And I can't see who buys anything that I kind of refer, but I get a notification that somebody just purchased a tush baby. And so I was just sharing this product that I loved, and people were finding value in it and buying it too. So I'm like, I wonder who else has affiliate programs. So I started searching and I basically started doing a different business that was inspired by Renna. And so there's lots of products that we have and we love that I'm like, well, if the Tush Baby's been helpful. What else could be helpful? So I created Renna's Corner. There's a website. I'm still working on it because the back end and the technical part of it's a little confusing for me. I'm learning Shopify and trying to figure all things out. But what's been really fun, I love connecting with people. So I will reach out to companies. Like there is a product called the Freeloader. So you know how there's infant hiking carriers for babies? This is for bigger kids. I love hiking, but that infant carrier, as she's getting bigger, is so uncomfortable and difficult to carry her with. This Freeloader, actually, a friend who has a daughter with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome as well. She sent me her old one. Love it, love the idea. So I reached out to the owner and I told him about Renna's Corner. And I told him that I was really interested in sharing about this product. So that product is on Renna's Corner. So there's certain products that I highlight on the website, and I'm working on trying to get some blogs going and helpful tips. Some of them are about our journey, some are struggles, some are product recommendations. But the one thing that has really taken off is, along with the website, I created a Facebook group focused on discounts because we love a lot of these products, but they can be expensive. So along with reaching out to some of these companies, I also, if they didn't already have a discount for me to share as an affiliate, I would ask them if they could provide a discount code. And I was so surprised at how excited some of these companies were to do that. So I think I counted the other day, I think it's like 24, maybe 25 exclusive partnerships with some of these products.
Gosh, wow.
Yeah, and not all of them have a discount code because they have some technical things where, like, if you refer enough business, you can get discount code. So I try to look for when they're having sales, and then I'll post it in the group. But the group is really taking off because it's focused on families that have kids with disabilities, special needs, autism, things like that. I'll look for products that we either have or I think would be beneficial for these families. I'm posting all kinds of things. Sometimes it's not a discount, but I'm like, this product looks amazing. I can't find any discounts on it, but I'll research. I'll try to find discounts to share. And then I polled the group and I said, what do you guys want to see? And they said they wanted to see more resources and events. So now I'm seeking out resources, events. I was just at a disabilities vendor event last week, talking to other businesses, other organizations, learning about them, and telling them about Renna's Corner, saying, is there anything I can share to our community? And so I've been connecting and sharing stuff. I also have an Instagram called Renna's Corner. So I try to do some collaborations, and a lot of it is just run as a journey. But I try to do collaborations, like I did one with a woman that has a business with sensory products, and asked her, why is sensory play so important? And so I have that on my Instagram. And there were a few others, like there's a local medical daycare. So I had asked her some questions and why this is such an important thing in our community, things like that. So I feel like Renna's Corner has multiple things, but I didn't expect that. I was focused on a job that I loved, right?
Right.
And then I was focused on helping moms be more healthy. And now focused on how can I help families like ours, because it's confusing. There are so many things so many products, organizations we have no idea even exist. The only way you know is just kind of by living and meeting somebody or seeing something online. And I just love connecting. So I just connect and learn stuff and then I share it. And I am so thankful that it's been helpful. I'll get messages saying, wow, I had no idea this existed. A huge one is I had no idea that in Pennsylvania we could be our child's paid caregiver. They need some sort of a diagnosis that it has to be medically necessary for them to have a caregiver. I shared that I'm Renna's paid caregiver, and I had so many families reach out saying, can you give me more info on this? Because I didn't know this was a thing. I had to quit my job to take care of my child full time. We're really struggling, things like that. And I've been able to help multiple moms get connected with my employer and become their child's caregiver as well. Somebody just messaged me this morning because she saw a post on Renna's Corner Instagram page about her adaptive bike. I've learned a ton of stuff, and there's so much more, and some of it is way down the road because she's only 5. But yeah, so long story long.
Like I was telling you, these are not scripted conversations. I just want you to speak on what's your heart. And I knew we would talk about some of the things that you brought up. But yeah, I just kind of thought, well, what about the job? Like, what is she doing? So I'm glad that you took the initiative to just keep going and share all of that because I definitely wanted to get to it. I'm just seeing such a theme here. You said when you had your travel agent job that you were called to do that. But really, I think you were just called to help. You are just so service minded and you're like, how can I help others? And you keep saying families, helping families. Well, that's what you were doing with your previous job. And now look what you're doing, helping families again. So it's just this theme that you always want to make an impact and just all this legwork you're doing, all this work you're doing for others that don't have the time or don't understand how to even find some of the things you found. And the determination, I mean, geez, don't say that lightly around you. Like to make those phone calls and to ask, like you don't know if you don't ask, right? So way
Yep.
to go getting those discounts and just helping people. I love that so much. So yeah, like I said, we never know where the conversation's going to go. But with the Show Me the Way podcast, it's either there's a specific point in time where my life totally took a twist and turn. It was a 180 and life looked nothing like I thought. But you're proving my point that everybody has a story and everybody sees something. You always have these like images and then things totally changed. There's really not much that we can completely control in this life. So you never really know what's going to happen. And what I love is you are just figuring it out as you go and you are finding your purpose every step. And I think that's amazing. And the other thing I want to say is determination is obviously something you've passed on to your daughter because I have watched her and she has a lot of that as well. So she's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
learning more than you even realize from all the things that her mama is doing. Wow. So yeah, you've taken a couple of different twists and turns, but I do like the theme that is there throughout and I love how much you're helping everybody. We're going to share all about Renna's Corner and your Instagram and Facebook information in the show notes so everybody can go follow you. And I like too what you said that it's not just those that have the same disorder as your daughter, it's everybody has needs and so they can all get some resources from you. So I love that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. That's great. Like I said, sometimes I'll say what's on your heart and somebody will share a specific time. Sometimes they'll share all kinds of moments like you just shared. I don't want to take away from something else that might have been on your heart. Definitely want to hear more about Pitt Hopkins. But I also want you to talk about other things that you really wanted to bring up today when we're talking about Show Me the Way.
Yeah, so I actually wrote down a few things that I, through this journey, have leaned on. Going back to what you were just talking about with purpose, I feel like a huge thing that's really helped me has been my faith. Because, yes, I had all these plans, and I actually shared this at a group that I'm a leader of at church. I gave a testimony, talked a bit about my past, And then I pivoted to my future, like Renna. And I was talking about how I had this plan, but that's not what I ended up with. My life looks totally different than I thought it would. And just trusting that God's plan is better than any plan that I could ever have. I might not understand it, but that gives me such hope and confidence in this role as Renna's mom. I have no idea why Renna was born with a rare genetic disorder that only 1,400 people in the world we know of have it, but I believe there's a purpose in it. And I'm just going to follow that calling wherever it takes me. And sometimes I get confused and I don't know where we're going. But I just say, God, I just pray that you continue to give me wisdom, provide help. And I haven't had any major issues with any of Renna's care. I had two little things that I had to overcome, like she has a special bed, a sleep safe bed, and insurance would not approve. So I had this one little thing I had to fight against insurance. We've never had any issues with her IEP, her school. They've been amazing. But at one point, her bus ride went from 40 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes each way. So I had to fight with that. But I'm constantly just praying that God would help me in these things, that he continued to provide whatever we need. And I just lean on that. That's kind of one thing that's really helped me with things. Something else is I started following families on Instagram that have children with disabilities. And I think I was putting limitations on Renna because she can't do some things. So I just kind of thought, well, she can't do that. We're never going to be able to do that. We're never going to be able to go mountain biking with her. These other families really helped me see that I was doing that, but also that I don't have to put limitations on her. She can do these things. They might just look different. Oh, I'll never be able to hike with Renna. Well, I have a carrier now that I'll probably be able to hike with her for many years. And now that she's walking, we're really working on balance and stepping over. She's gonna be able to hike. It might not look the way I think because I'm extreme and I like scaling a mountain, right? But she can walk on a hiking trail that might just have a few roots or it might be totally flat. And these families are doing amazing things. This is kind of ironic. The one family I follow, she has a child who she adopted. I helped her with her flights, and somebody said, you need to follow this family on Instagram. So I followed, and I was like, oh my word, I know them. They also so happened to live at the time like 20 minutes from me. So I met her family in person. She invited us over for dinner. But her whole Instagram is about how you can travel and experience all these things with a child with disabilities. And it just opened up my eyes. We can do these things. It might look a little different, but we can do these things. There's adaptive surfing. I haven't done it, but I posted it in Renna's Corner on the group on Facebook because there's multiple dates. You can go to Jersey and your disabled child can surf. There's all these things. I've seen kids skiing.
I'm so glad you're bringing all of this up because we always say it's just Nathan's way for my son who has muscular dystrophy. It doesn't look like my older son. It's not how he did it. It's not how I've ever seen things done. But you're right. I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people that deal with a diagnosis of their child or of themselves, something they didn't expect, something they maybe haven't seen before, it's hard to say, oh, we can do all the same things we used to do. It's really hard to look at it that way. It does take time. Give yourself some grace there. But I love learning from other people. I do think sometimes for us that was a little overwhelming to be completely engrossed and inside the Duchenne world. But I'm very grateful for some of the families that have shown us things. You're talking about travel. We have a family, actually, they live in Pennsylvania too.
Mhm.
They have a son who's in his 20s, and they're like, oh, we take him here, we take him there. And my husband and I are like, oh, how can we possibly bring a $60,000 wheelchair on a plane? But then you listen to some of their suggestions and things that they've learned, and they're willing to share, and they're like, oh, bring this and make sure you put a sign on this, and just showing you that things are possible. And I just think it really opens your eyes. And yeah, it might look different, but of course they can do it. And so I'm really glad that you're opening your heart and mind up to that, and just accepting that it might look different, but you guys can do it. And I think you're showing her every single day, because even what I've seen in a year by what you've posted, the things that she's doing now are so much more than what she was doing a year ago. So,
Yeah.
like I said, give yourself some grace, because you are figuring it out and you're doing things Renna's way. But I love that you shared that.
And something that also helped me is there is a Facebook group for families that have children with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome. When we first got the diagnosis, she was 2.5. My husband was relieved because he had thought the worst. Like, she's going to die when she's super young. She's going to have all these major issues. And then Pitt-Hopkins, as far as we know, is not a life-limiting syndrome.
Okay, so he felt relieved with the diagnosis.
Yes, because he thought, like, my child is dying, worst case scenario. But I was one that was doing all this early intervention stuff. I thought she was delayed. I thought we'd be able to help her out of this. And it all became real. She's not going to grow out of this. At the time, the doctors said she probably would never walk. She won't talk with words. A lot of people with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome have seizures, have major GI issues, have breathing issues, get hospitalized for illness. Renna does not have those struggles. Hopefully she won't. She could moving forward, but she doesn't. She does have delays. We never know how she's affected cognitively because she is not able to speak with words. As she develops, as I learn more about her, I am pretty sure she can understand everything that's going on. She just has a hard time getting her body to do what it needs to be doing. I'm pretty sure she cognitively is there. But going back to this group, the group is what I went to right away because I love connecting with people. I didn't really care about the research and looking up this syndrome. I wanted to connect with other families. I wanted to learn what it looks like, how I can help Renna, because I was working so hard to get her caught up when I thought it was a delay that I'm like, okay, well, it's not a delay. This is real. This is not going to change. Our whole world is going to be different than what I thought it was going to be. So I had so much more peace and hope from talking. I would talk to other families. I would reach out and friend these families. And now, even to this day, 2.5 years later, if Facebook suggests a friend and I see we have multiple Pitt-Hopkins families in common, I'm like, friend, it's been super helpful because okay, if you're in a group with your child's diagnosis, it's great, but you don't always connect on a one-on-one basis. You sometimes see the worst. So they're asking questions. My child is having this issue. Has anyone had this? Has anyone tried this medication? So you don't always see the good, right?
That can be difficult for sure.
Yeah. So I've made so many friends just by sending a friend request. I have a friend now. She lives in California. She has a son with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, and we leave each other voice messages on Facebook Messenger every week. Every week. And sometimes we just talk. Sometimes we talk about a struggle, but it's just been great. And then I've found by me sharing and me being vulnerable, where I was 2.5 years ago, reaching out to other families, people are finding me and reaching out to me. And now I'm able to give them that support and encouragement. I've had multiple moms just say, thank you so much for posting Renna's journey because it gives me hope that my child will walk one day too. That's exactly where I was because I think it was the first family I talked to. We had like voice conversations, but her son, I think, is probably 2 or 3 years older than Renna. And so I saw his journey of him taking his first steps and him walking, and Renna wasn't even close. And I didn't think Renna would walk because doctors were telling us she wouldn't. But seeing her son walk, I think I cried. I was just so hopeful. And now families come to me and say, I just cried watching Renna do this or that, and you've given us hope. And obviously that feels good. But also, these relationships are on a different level because we can really understand what we're going through. We can celebrate. I have some friends where we'll text or we'll have a phone call, and a mom will come to me and say, I just needed to tell you this because I knew you'd be super excited. People talk about milestone in our world, they're inch stones because these little things are huge. Like Renna holding a fruit pouch yesterday. That is a huge thing for her to coordinate, to hold. So I just found that connecting with other families more on a personal level was super helpful because, yeah, and even Renna has an autism diagnosis. These autism groups are huge. I go to events and I meet families, and that is way more helpful than just being in a group. In the beginning, I would take her to different things. I would take her to story time at the library. I would get really upset. I would be anxious. I would compare her to other families. I remember specifically one story time, The Little Mermaid was there. She was reading a story, she was having songs, and the kids were supposed to sit around a circle and have story time. Well, this was before Renna was in her current school, so she had no idea what circle time was. She didn't know you're supposed to sit there and listen. So she crawls over and starts crawling on Ariel. And I'm like, oh my word, this is so embarrassing. Like, should I get her? Should I not get her? I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just having this internal conflict. And ultimately, I said, you know what? I'm just going to let her do it. And whether that was right or wrong, I don't know. But I continue to put myself and Renna in these situations where I felt really uncomfortable because she was different. She was standing out. She clearly was different, crawling around when everybody else is sitting in a circle. And I found after a while that getting in these uncomfortable situations really was helping me for multiple reasons. It was helping me learn that it really doesn't matter what they're thinking. Renna has a right to be here just like your child. And I also started to realize that I was thinking in my head what I thought those other parents were thinking. I have no idea what they're thinking. I've since had conversations at certain places like the splash park. Renna loves water, so I would take her to the splash park. And now she can walk around, but she wasn't able to walk around before. She would like grab on kids. I started bringing in her gait trainer, like her walker, so she could walk around. And she is so friendly. She loves kids. She loves adults. And she's constantly trying to interact, but she doesn't have words. So she sometimes will tap people or get right in their face. And I would always think like, oh my word, these people are judging us. They don't want Renna touching their kids. But then moms would come over to me and say, I just wanted to let you know I've been watching her and she's doing amazing. And they would just say something totally opposite of the story I was telling myself. And it made me realize that, okay, I don't think people are judging me and my child how I think they are. And maybe some are, but time after time, somebody would say something positive, and I'd be like, okay, I need to stop projecting what I think they're thinking. And I just need to let Renna be Renna and get out and experience things that any other kid would experience. And that has been life-changing for me. She tends to scream because she's constantly excited. And I used to get so embarrassed and be like, oh my word, everyone's staring at us. And now I'm like, you know what? That kid next to us is crying. That kid over there is acting like a jerk. Renna has the right to be here too. And so I try to just get out and have her experience all things, despite what other people may or may not be thinking. And kind of like we were talking about, just accepting that things are just going to look different. And that's okay, you know?
I think that is such an awesome perspective and mindset. And early on, she's only 5 and you're already getting there. And I think that's so great. I think it probably took me a little longer. I think I can relate. I'm getting a little emotional because I can relate
Uh,
to so much of what you're saying. One of the biggest things for my whole family, and I'm sure for many others that deal with a child that needs some kind of support and walking and whatever, I thought, oh, I don't want him in a wheelchair. I had all these thoughts in my mind, but when he started riding around in a wheelchair, it changed our whole life. He's independent. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares that he's in a wheelchair? Now he can go do his own thing. And it changed his life for the positive. We were trying to avoid it for so long. Now he's not worried about falling. Well, now he couldn't walk on his own. But for the longest time when he was still walking, we thought, oh my God, he's going to fall. I was always tense being around him. And now he could just go, put it in high gear, and I'll catch up to you. So I do think you're right. We make up such stories and then we get so worried about what everyone else thinks. And I love when people surprise us. I mean, you're right. Not everybody is good. Not everybody is non-judgmental, but there are so many good people and there's so many good kids. Yes,
mm-hmm.
there's some that aren't. There's some that you're like, wow, like was there any discipline in your life? But then there's some kids that open the door for him. There's some kids that invite him out to dinner. There's some kids that show up at a baseball game and hang out with them. And I mean, he's in high school. I've seen him be around juniors and seniors and he's just a sophomore and they just accept him. We recently had a friend of his hang out with him and then my husband and I texted him to say thanks for including Nathan and he just said we look past the wheelchair and we accept him and we love having him around and his support is amazing and so you're right. We need to stop building up these stories and
Mm,
just try to find the good. And if there's a bad situation, okay, move away from that and go to something else. But there's so many good people out there that want to support you and cheer you on. And I just love that so much. And I can say the same thing. Like when I see your videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, Brenda, look what she's doing today. And not that I've met her in person, which I would love to meet her in person. Not that I met her in person, but just following you for the last couple of years and just seeing the major things that she's been able to do. And I do remember thinking, oh, wow, I don't think she's ever going to walk. And then seeing those videos, like, wow. So I love that you're putting that out there and just teaching all of us that we can take this different path, find the light and find the joy and make things work. And I think you're the epitome of the Show Me the Way podcast here. So that's
yeah.
why I wanted you on the show. Yeah. And wow, I love the perspective that you gave. I was also going to say that there are so many things that she's going to be able to do. And I just know there's such a bright future for her with her determined and inspirational mama, especially. But, my son, again, getting back to him, he's in 10th grade. He is part of a radio program at our school now. We went to a meeting yesterday and just watching him, like, that is something I never thought he would do, get on the mic and talk to people and he's doing it. And they don't care that he's in a wheelchair. They have a accessible room that he goes in and he can be on the mic and he can be part of the show. And it's really cool to see all the things that they can do. So yeah, just keep doing it. Keep putting her in those environments and keep shining. And I, for one, will be front row when you are on stage
Yeah.
speaking and sharing all of this story because you have a lot of great things and you definitely have purpose in helping others and sharing with others. So, oh wow, we could keep talking. I, it seems like it's only been a couple of minutes, but it's been a little more than that. So I'll probably try to wrap up here, but Gosh, you've given us so many great pieces of advice, but I'll give you one more shot if there's anything you think you missed that you wanted to share with our listeners.
I mean, I would just encourage anyone to find a safe place where you're able to share the good and the bad. I know I have a group at church where I'm able to share, and that has helped me so much. I've been a part of this group for like 11 years now. Every part of life, there's something going on, highs, lows, and just being able to share. And they don't always understand, but it's a safe place for me to share things that are going on. So I definitely encourage people to get connected with others, be vulnerable, share things, and continue to learn and grow because that's been super helpful. I've gone through lots of counseling. I have a life coach, and some of these things are totally free. If you have health insurance, you probably have access to some sort of free resource. There's so many different resources, and I think it's super important that we need to connect, we need to grieve, we need to take care of ourselves. As we talked earlier, it's huge, especially I'm an older mom. I had Renna when I was 40. So it's huge for me to be taking care of my mental health, my physical health, my nutrition, especially. That plays a huge part in all things, sleep, stress, all these things. But I really encourage everyone listening to find community, find some sort of health support, mentally, physically, things like that, because that really helps. This is not an easy life. It really is not. It's very stressful. It's all consuming. It's exhausting, right? But the healthier we are, the better equipped we are to care for our family and our children. So I think I will leave you with that because I also could talk forever. But
Yes, I think that is great advice and something like you said, everybody, not just people with a special needs child or a medical diagnosis for themselves. I think life is tough for everybody for different reasons, and
Mhm.
it's all relative too.
Oh
People
yeah.
will say, "Oh, I don't know what you're going through," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you're going through something else." So everything you just said, I think, is helpful for everybody. It's another reason I wanted to do this podcast, and I want to have more than just women. We've had mainly women guests, but really the perspectives and advice can help everybody, and every single person has a story of a pivot in their life and how they gained perspective and learned from it. Oh, thank you so much for going in the direction that you did and sharing all that you did. And I want to just say one more thing. Yesterday, I went live and talked about how important it is to have a village. And then you talked about it today. I
Mm,
say this almost every single episode. I think the day that we were supposed to record is the day we were supposed to record because it always seems to coincide with something else. And it definitely hit home because I just said yesterday, even if you have one person you can talk to, it
yep.
doesn't have to be your partner. It doesn't have to be somebody who is going through exactly the same thing you're going through. You just have to have somebody or a group of people or some kind of resource that you can rely on so you know you're not alone because life's too short to try to do it all on your own. Like go out
Mm,
there, connect with people, make the most out of every day that you have. So I thought
yep.
that was great advice and just went along with everything I was saying yesterday. You must have just read my mind. So
I
great.
guess so.
Great job with that. Well, thank you so much, Brenda. It was so wonderful to have you on. I knew you would be a great guest, and we just had to find the right day, and today was the right day.
Yep.
And all the best with Renna's Corner and continuing to help families. And I'm just so excited to keep following that beautiful girl and all the things that she's doing. And we'll share all of your information in the show notes so people can follow along as well.
All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.